Hello to everyone at Talk Tonight. I'm here with an amazing boxer from sort of like 31 years of boxing, amateur, pro, unlicensed. He's done it all. It's James, the Force Flynn. How are you doing, James?
How are you, lad?
Yeah, you good?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Excited to get
Fantastic.
this underway.
Yeah, brilliant, man. It's so good to have a chat with you. I mean, like, obviously, we've not spoke for ages, for a long time. Obviously, when
It's
you were
got to
doing,
be
um,
5 years,
yeah,
mate. At least
yeah.
6, maybe
How
7,
many long?
maybe 7 years.
Yeah, yeah, crazy. Obviously, when I did my show at the Sky Dome,
The rink, yeah,
um,
yeah.
obviously that's when you did our show for us. And you've just been like so busy, like over the last sort of like 31 years. And to talk about that, 31 years, man, of just like any sports, from a very young age. So obviously, like, when did it all start? Like, as a boxer, just obviously like a young age. Like, obviously, because I think your dad was involved in boxing, right?
Yeah. My dad was a boxer. He boxed from the age of 16 till he was 21. Within that time, he had something like 140 odd fights. Um, Within that time, he reached ABA finals and boxed for England several times. Went to the Commonwealth Games in 1974. Um, Something I used to be quite proud of, um,
Yeah,
because people knew my dad. You know, people involved in boxing knew my dad, and it's a bit different now. A bit older, and you don't speak to people in your family and things like that. So yeah, obviously, I'm still proud of what he achieved and helping me sort of gain a bit of reputation. Um,
hmm,
but it weren't because my dad had started boxing. Um,
yeah,
I had no intention of being a boxer at all.
yeah,
I wasn't allowed. My mum was just like, not a fucking chance. You're not boxing. End of. Um, so I did judo, did aikido, doing very well in them. Did all sorts like table tennis, badminton, cross country,
yeah.
things like that. National finalist at cross country, bronze medalist and national finalist at table tennis and pool and things like that. So it's just, but that was
You,
only
were you
because
just one of these? You were just one of these kids who were just like really good at like every sport.
no, I was good at a lot of things, but not good at everything. Football, I wasn't very good at. I was quick, but that was about it.
Yeah,
But no, it was all down to the boys' club. Um, I used to do the coaching in the boys' club, the judo training and stuff. My best pal Lee, his dad, God rest his soul. He was the one who used to throw me and Lee around the mat like we were adults, and we were like 8 or
yeah,
9 years old, and we were just very very good for our age. Then the boxing coach Dennis Young, former England coach. I think he was an ABA finalist himself. Very very good coach. Goes to me, "I know your dad." I went, "All right, I know your dad. Okay, what's that mean? Get in here and give it a go." I said, "I'm not allowed." He said, "Who said?" It's my mum. He was like, "Well, your mum's not here, is she?" He said, "Get in this gym." So I was like, "Do I go in or not?" So I went in, did it, and then afterwards he said, "You better go home and tell your mum you're a boxer." Um, that was it. I got home, told my mum, and I got the hiding of a lifetime.
yeah.
And she phoned my dad, and he says, "Well, if Dennis says he's a boxer, he's a boxer." And then 2 weeks later, I had my first fight. So it was just
How old
like
were you?
12.
12.
12. Started the second week of November. My first fight was, I believe it was the 4th or the 6th of December at the Triumph Home Show against the Triumph Kid. And I stopped him in, I think it was about 36 seconds. And my dad turned to my mum and said, "You can't stop him," and that's it. So, but yeah, the proviso was my mum said, "Right, you're allowed 10 fights. That's it. 10 amateur fights." I went, "All right." And then that was it. It just got to 10 and she went, "You're stopping." I just laughed. I was like, "All right." So yeah,
Yeah.
and it just snowballed and
Yeah.
went a
So
bit mad.
that's crazy, like, because obviously when you look back at it now, like, your dad's influence was obviously something which was he sort of like kept you going, kept your interest going, or sort of like pushed
Yeah,
you a little bit.
I think what it was more to do with the fighting side. It weren't the fact it was boxing. It was more the rough and tumble and you know the combat side of things. Because I used to think I was Bruce Lee as a kid. You know, I think I went to karate 3 times and I thought I was Bruce Lee. You know, flying, kicking everything and things like that. So it was just. I think it was more the fact of it was combat, not
Yeah,
because it was boxing. You know, and
any sport.
yeah, anything like that. That's hence why I did judo. Then I tried aikido and things like that, and it just
Mhm.
yeah.
Have you got any sort of like brothers, sisters, or anything like that?
There's fucking millions of them, mate. I've got about 10 brothers and sisters. Yeah,
Yeah.
my brother Aaron was a boxer.
Hmm.
I don't think he followed my dad. I think he more followed me, to be honest. Um, he was quite good. He was okay. He ended up fighting Jordan Gill, who we know has
Right.
gone on to achieve great things. Um, in that fight, he actually broke his leg. Yeah, he um, he went to move out of the way of a shot, and somehow he snapped his shin. How that happens in a boxing match, I don't know, but he did. Yeah.
So we're all to your family then. So like say you've got like loads of your family then basically, and obviously your dad's obviously like sort of like pushed you a little bit, sort of like kept things going. I mean, like when you look back at your career, right? When you start, when you go through your career, right? 92 fights as an amateur, right?
Something like that.
That's
Yeah.
not. I mean, like say, like 92 fights, 65 wins. Like as an amateur, that level was extremely good.
Um,
Like,
to be honest, I didn't have nowhere near as many as other lads around at the same time. You know, I was late. To be honest, I feel I was late to the game. You know, but my career early on was very like I was fighting kids a lot better than me too quick because
yes,
I think I was naturally good. I was being put in with kids who knew a lot more than me. You know, I didn't know enough. I was just good at what I was quick. I was agile. I was a bit unorthodox.
hmm,
Um, but these kids were better than me because they knew a lot more than I knew. They'd been in the gym. They knew how to box. I did. I just done. I just did whatever I wanted to bloody do. I weren't thinking about. I've got to keep my hands up. I've got to jab. I've got to do this. Got to do that. Move my head. I
yeah,
just done it. So I think that was the disadvantage of going into the amateurs the way I did, you know. But again, I didn't plan any of it.
it just
It
happened.
just happened, and I was beating good kids along the way. I was being beat by kids that, to be honest, shouldn't have even got near me. Um, Lack of experience. Again, you know, there's one kid I lost to. I think his name was Matthew Hill. I lost to him twice due to fighting the third time, and not to be horrible or anything. He shouldn't have fucking been able to lace my boots. He was just awkward, not very
Yeah,
good at doing the basics, but I just couldn't beat him. And it
yeah,
was just but then I'd go and I'd fight a kid who was national champion next fight and punch the head off him. And it's like,
yeah,
how does that? But that was just inexperience and just winging it as I went along.
yeah.
But
That's just crazy, isn't it? When you, like, say, when you go through, again, like through your career, sort of like you whilst international boxer completed, you wanted to get into the Commonwealth Federation tournament, you would have been close to being in the Commonwealth Games, right? That would have been like obviously your what you were looking for at that particular
um,
time.
again, no, I wasn't looking for anything. It was I wanted to gain some international experience. And the reason I boxed for Wales, I was ranked number 4 in the country. Um, in Great Britain, and I weren't getting selected for anything. I weren't being called up for England or anything like that, and it was a bit frustrating. So I think Dinesh, coach of the Triumph, sort of spoke to them and said, "Look, you need to give this lad a go.
Yeah.
He's beating that kid, beating this kid, beating that kid. You've got them all on the England squad, yet he's not being called up to even give a chance."
Yeah.
So I went down, and to be honest, I thought I'll give a good account of myself. Sparring good kids,
Mm.
like lads that were rated above me. And when you go down to squads like that, if the lads that are there are regulars, they know what the crack is. And as a
Yeah.
newbie, it's a bit daunting. You're a bit like, oh, do I do this? Do I do that? Do I try and give it him or do I not? Do I take my time?
Yeah.
And it was one of them where I think at the time Ian Irwin was still the coach. And the first round, I fucked it up completely. I just didn't do what I should have been doing. Weren't switched on enough. Took a bit of a boxing lesson. And he said to me, Lyndon, he said to me, don't let him take the piss. Like, sort it out. Like, fix up. So I did. And I pinged the lad all over the place. Second round, same again, third round. Another coach come over, stopped the sparring, kicked me out of the sparring, didn't get called back up.
Yeah.
And that was it. 2 or 3 years went past. And then a couple of my pals unknowingly applied to go to the Wales
Mm.
squads. So how are they doing that? They're like, well, the grandma's Welsh. I was like, so is mine.
Yeah.
And I also had the option of my mum being Irish, going to Ireland. But
Yeah.
that was more of a trek to get there and train for the squads and then have to come back or have to compete in their championships and you have to stay away for a week or two. And it was just easier to apply for the Wales thing, um,
Yeah.
which we did. And it turned out all right. It's the
Yeah. So
way.
you were sort of like, you were, I guess it was like you were early 20s, sort of like, or you're very early. How old were you round about that
It was
time?
early 20s. Yeah, I think I was probably 21, 22 maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But what were you doing for work at that particular time? You just sort of like just sort of trying to do as much as you could just to continue doing the boxer?
Decorating at the time. What else? Working in warehouses and things like that.
Yeah.
Always in work, always doing something. But it was what I wanted to be doing or not. You had to graft and provide for your family.
Yes.
Um, and then obviously travel down to Wales for the weekend squads, and then come back and go back to work the next
Yeah.
day. And they ain't easy, and they shouldn't be
Yeah.
easy. Let's have it right. You're competing to be the best fighters in the world,
Yeah.
and that's the long and short of it. You're not now competing to be the best in the country. You are competing to be the best fighter of your country to then be put in against fighters that are the best of their country.
In England, yeah.
And
Ireland, Scotland.
so then you go and you're fighting in tournaments, lads from Canada, Malaysia. They're all the best fighters of their country. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. So
Yeah.
it's bloody hard, mate. You're
Yeah.
trying to work and then deal with that. And
The thing is now, like if you look like 20 years down the road, like you see like Colin Jones, is obviously now he's an amateur. He's the coach of Wales.
yeah,
Colin Jones, who was like he was our main guy in Wales. Everyone
yeah,
knew about Colin Jones. He's from Gysinnon, which is from where I'm from. And do you see the differences now between what the kids have now compared to like like even England, Team England compared to like what Wales get like, and the money that goes through like amateurs now is like massively different to what you were going through like sort of like 20 years ago,
yeah.
as an amateur.
It's you weren't getting fuck all unless you were Audie Harrison or
Yes.
Courtney Fry, lads like that. It's crazy. I think when it came out, I think it's the lottery funding, wasn't it? And they were throwing money at these top guys, but then they weren't divvying it up right for the lesser lads who weren't the heavyweight or the super heavyweight, you know.
Yeah.
And I think the funding's got better and things like that, you know. But I think they cut it quite quickly, which is a thing that can lead to lads giving up the game and
Yeah, they miss it.
pissing
They
their
miss,
life
don't
away.
they?
They miss it, and to be given handout. Well, it's not exactly handouts, but you're earning it because they're training 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 4 or 5 times a day. You know, you have to
Yeah.
fucking earn it. And they don't get gifted nothing. Yeah, they might have a good life where they get to go to different things and whatever. They're putting the fucking work in, you know. But that can be taken away like that. If you're not performing, you get a warning, then you're gone. And that,
Yeah.
to someone who's never had to work because they've been so talented, to then go, right, we don't need you now, see you later. It's damaging, you know. It really
Yeah.
is.
And so, like, yeah, you know, like say when these kids now, you look like they want to be like AJ, and they've got like all of the money they want it because obviously they did Team GB, and like all everyone then is just like completely gone. Like before they may be a really actually really good boxer, but then everyone wants to go to go pro, and like okay, so let's talk about go pro, right? So you went pro, right? So you had 15 fights, right?
Yeah.
Go pro. So you had 10 wins, 2 knockouts, 1 draw, right? But when I go through your career, right, as a professional boxer, you did really, really well as a professional boxer because like a lot of your career doesn't really sort of like show how good you actually were as a professional boxer because I don't think you were given those chances at that particular time. So, like, when you turned pro, how old were you when you turned pro?
I think I was like 26, something like that,
Yeah.
25 or 26.
Hmm.
You probably look on BoxRec, it'll tell you. Um,
Yeah.
but it was a funny thing. I didn't actually ever want to turn pro.
Yeah.
It was more of my dad was so talented, or what I was told how talented he was by everyone in the country, that you go up north somewhere and they go, "Oh, we know your dad. He was amazing." He didn't
Yeah.
go pro, and I just think
Hmm.
for me, if I was that talented, which is what happened with me, I thought I've got to give it a go. I didn't really want to go pro, but if I don't give my kids that chance of me maybe doing something to give them a bit
Hmm.
of a better life, then I can't moan about that he didn't do it, you know. So
Yeah.
that was it. I just thought, fuck it. I'd had enough of the amateurs. Um, to be honest, I'd had enough of the amateurs for a while before I even
Yeah.
it, because of the bias in the sport.
Yes.
I'm not being funny. I'm an English lad who's gone to Wales, took the top spot on the Wales squad. Um, wasn't very well liked. It wasn't
Yeah.
very well received. You know, like even though you get on with the lads and that, the older coaches and that do things. I've taught Welsh when you're around, so you can't understand them, things like that. And it's like, stop being a bunch of cunts and fucking tell it how it is. If you're not happy with something, fucking tell me. Don't talk behind my
Yeah.
back in a language I ain't gonna fucking understand. So
Are
that was
you are you are you Welsh then?
my grandma was Welsh, yeah.
Ah, right.
So
Okay.
it it's
Is that why you got the to be able to obviously to play for
that
Wales?
yeah.
Uh,
That was it.
yeah,
That
because
was
you
it. That
obviously
was the heritage thing. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, no, it was just I just had enough boxing kids and beating them, but not getting the decision. And then the
Yeah.
coaches of the kid would be like, "Ah, wow, you know, he was a good kid, isn't he?" Knowing I'd just beat the lad up and didn't get the decision, finding it funny. And just it turned out to the point of nearly coming to fisticuffs with coaches
It's frustration, isn't
of
it?
Wales
It must be
Welsh lads.
frustrating.
Yeah, because I remember I boxed Lewis Reese, Welsh ABAs. Lewis Reese, you know, went on to GB lad, turned pro, didn't do great as a pro, but cracking lad, lovely family. His dad was really nice. I punched holes in him, and I don't care what any of them say. You know, his dad said to me after, as soon as the fight, he was like, "Oh, fit as a flea you are," and I'll give it him.
Yeah.
I'll give it him, mate. Like, and if I haven't won a fight, I will say I ain't won it, but I'll give it him,
Yeah.
and that is it. I didn't get a decision, and then one of the other coaches, when I was in the change rooms, yeah, I knew you wouldn't beat him. I just went, oh, fuck off, you cunt. And Dinesh was like, oh, Carl Flynn. And that was it. A couple of them said something else. So I just went, you're all a bunch of pricks. Said, fuck the lot of
Yeah.
you. And that was it. I said to Dinesh, I'm going pro, D, and that's it. So,
Yeah. So I was just looking at your career now, like, sort of like you started as a professional in 2008. So like we're going back a few years now. So I was in 2008.
work
Um,
it out, mate. My
and
maths ain't very good.
yeah, I mean, like a lot of your fights that you were having, sort of like to begin with, it says like your pro debut was in 2008 against a guy called Lance Varello.
Varela.
It was
I think
a
he was a
Middleton.
Welsh lad as well.
Yeah, it was in Berto, Berto on Trent. Obviously, it was like a fight that you can, as a professional, you sort of have your first professional fight. What did that feel like to be a professional boxer? You
Um,
must have been like
Very
quite
strange.
proud.
Very strange. Um, Obviously, in the amateurs, it's different. The crowd's different. You know, the fight's different in amateurs. You know, it's all completely different sport. No matter what anyone
Yeah,
says, it's a completely different game altogether. And shots I would be hitting lads within the amateurs and putting them to sleep would just bounce off lads in the pros. So getting
yeah,
in the ring with him, walking to the ring was even different. The crowd, obviously, they're a bit in the amateurs. It's a bit more respectful of the crowd, whereas in the pros, there's the swearing and it's a bit more rowdy and it's a bit like you can feel the atmosphere. Like, oh, let's go.
yeah,
But yeah, getting in the ring with little 8 ounce gloves on, that a lot of rocks on your hands. It's
yeah.
it's a wake up call. I tell you.
I bet. Yeah, I bet it was like an absolute like to have your first professional fight. Sort of like that. I say it was it's sort of like 2008. And like say when you go through your career, like obviously, again, you'd have to sell like loads of tickets at a particular time.
Yeah,
You have
and
to
I
do as much as you possibly could, like.
weren't a very good ticket seller, mate. In the amateurs, loads, sell loads. In the pros, couldn't couldn't sell nothing. Couldn't
Why
sell
not?
anything. No, it just I don't know what it was. It's you get these lads. I'll go, yeah, I sold 1,500 tickets. How the
Yeah,
fucking hell do you know that many people to sell that many tickets personally? And I think
yeah,
it's if you're a bit of a boy around town, you know, I think I think it'd be different now because it's a lot more out there now. You know, we've got social media and things like that. Back then, you had to ring your mate on fighting, and you'd have to go around deliver tickets and things like
yes,
that. And I think that's what it was. Obviously, although the internet and that were around, they weren't as easily accessible as they are now. And
yeah.
but yeah, it's
There's one guy in Bern, somewhere like the other side of England, and he obviously works for he's a professional boxer and he does really well, but he sells like 5,000 tickets.
crazy.
This guy, he's a professional boxer. He weighs, he's doing really well in his career. I think he's got like 13, 14 wins, and he was on Sky as well. And it was like, this guy, how can you sell 5,000 tickets just by yourself?
Listen, it'd be
It's
minted, mate. I'm telling you, because
yeah,
that's the only way you make money.
yeah, social media, isn't it?
Lads like me, obviously, I didn't. I came out of my amateur career doing okay, being quite well
Hmm.
known. You know, quite ranked quite high. Did I have a contract? No. You go and see a manager, um,
Yeah,
and they go, "All right, this is what you get." And you're like, "Okay, no contract involved, no nothing. You fight this date. You fight him. I've got a fight for you. You're getting a grand.
yeah,
Okay, and that's it. You have no say. You don't get nothing. You know, you
yeah,
got unless you face fit and you can sell tickets. If you sell tickets, you're fucking laughing. All the
Yeah.
promoters want to wank you off, and that's it. And that's the long and short of it. You could be terrible, but if you could sell tickets, the promoters will
Yeah.
go, "We'll get him a win. We'll get him. We'll get him. We'll get this guy. Get that guy,
Get it on, yeah.
and we'll get him a title. We'll get him this title, that title." All because he's
Mhm.
bringing the pennies in.
But you were doing quite well, like when I go through your, your box rack, like you were sort of like you were boxing quite regular because like when it went through 2008, 2009, 2010, you were boxing sort of like every 4 weeks. Not every 4 weeks, but like 4 times a year. So like when I go through your career there, like when you go up to 2010, you go 1, 2, 3, you got 1, 2, 3 there, you got sorry, 4 there, you got 1 in 9. You slowed down a little bit there in 2009. You went up to 2011. You were busy, like 1, 2, 3, 4. 2011, you were busy, and then obviously you started to get your real big fights. Sort of like you were sort of like in your, you fought Adi Anwar, and again you lost all 4 of those fights, but they were like good fights. And one of them was, this is a story about one of them. You fought on a Tyson Fury fight.
That was the
In
English. That was the Adil Anwar, the English title fight.
That's right, yeah. So it was you were obviously the second of that fight,
Wow.
Tyson Fury.
That
Oh, Tyson Fury got dropped in that fight.
funny story about that. I
Yeah.
I was supposed to be chief support, and that
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
prick Chris Eubank Jr. ended up jumping on the show and taking the chief support slot off me. So my fight
All
didn't
right.
get shown on Channel 5. So
Yeah.
I was devastated about that.
Yeah. Because, like I say, you like I said, you had some really good fights there. Like, I mean, it says you were TKO'd like twice, but like,
To be
or a few times.
yeah,
You were TKO'd a few
yeah,
times.
the Adil Lamar fight and Jason Wildborn fight, they were pretty straightforward. I just weren't good enough. That on them nights, I just weren't good enough, and that was it. The other two,
Hmm.
I was in the pub, mate, and I got a phone call. Do you fancy fighting? When? Tomorrow night. Well, okay. Not trained for weeks and weeks and weeks. Go and
I
do it.
remember that. Yeah.
And then again, do you fancy a fight? Where? Sunderland. All right, Sam. When is it? Tomorrow night. Like, okay. Same again. Still half cut. Go up and fucking have a fight.
Yeah. 52 pounds. So, like, say you had your fight in God. If you look back at it, right? So you fought Rick Golding
God in, yeah.
in Manchester, right? And then a month later, you fought Glenn Foot.
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing, right? You went from 100. You went from 146 pounds, then 266 one, and then what? 152. like 4 weeks
Yeah.
later.
But it's with the Godin fight, because I weren't with it, and the plan was I was going to go and I was getting decent money, and I was
Yeah.
going to go and do a few rounds and take a knee. Turns out I was doing all right. I
Yeah.
thought I can maybe nick this. And
Yeah, you should nick that one.
he caught me with a good shot on the top of the head, like on the forehead, and it jarred my neck. And I got like pins and
That's right,
needles
yeah.
down my spine up into my scalp. And I thought, what the fucking hell's that? Carried on, same again, bang, pins and needles down my spine. I just thought, fuck this. Just
Yeah, it
took the
says
knee.
Finn down twice in the
Yeah,
fifth round.
that was it. And then same with Glenn Foot. I really couldn't be asked. And it was a bit of a funny one. Like my corner was, he was really really dirty, and the corner were like John Pegg, top geezer, probably the nicest bloke you'll ever meet in boxing, pro boxing.
Yeah,
Shouting to the
everyone
ref,
says that about
he said, "What the fucking are you doing?" To the ref, and the ref stood in the corner going, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," and we're like, "Fucking get hold of him, sort it out." Like, there's being rough, but there's being like a prick and letting him get away with it, which is what was happening. All
Yeah,
because he weren't really getting to me. And let's have it right. He was on his way up, and he should have took the head off me. The state I was in with my body and being on the piss and things like that. He should have levered me, mate. And he couldn't fucking get near me, which is why then he starts being dirty and elbowing and pushing my head back and just being rough, and it weren't boxing. You know, there's pro boxing, and then there's been a cunt, and he was just being a prick, and the ref was letting him get away with it.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and for
But
John
like,
Texas
say,
to lose his rag, you know,
yeah,
but yeah,
you did it though, right? You did it, and like, you got you got some serious bollocks on you to go take those fights. Like, I can't believe like that's like 4 weeks. Like to do that is to take some serious bollocks. And like for anyone that says like you did it. Like you fought through the amateurs. You know, you did really really well. You fought through it. You fought through as a pro. It was like you know, you had a good career. You had a really good career. You did well. But
I
when
don't
people
think
look
I
back,
did as well as I should have done. Definitely not. I think I really underachieved. Um,
yes,
Absolutely, massively underachieved. But that's my own doing, you know, fucking about and not training right and not having the right people behind me and not realising I haven't got the right people around me. And yeah, I think definitely underachieved. But
yeah.
I'm
Do you
still
feel?
proud of what I've done. I still think it's good, you know, and it's the kids don't quite understand what I achieved. Um,
Mhm.
they all still think Jake Paul would beat me, like, but it's just yeah.
Do any of your kids want to box?
Um, I've got the two youngest girls, Phoebe and Nevaeh.
Mhm.
They are wow. The three girls, Charlie, who's 17. Charlie can box, like really
Yeah,
box. She will not fight. She won't. She won't do it. Phoebe is my little brute. She can fight. She punches like a 12-year-old boy. She's only 10. She bangs, but she lives with her mum, so it's
yeah,
I can't make her mum take her. And Nevaeh, the little one, she comes with me when I do the coaching, obviously because I coach the amateurs and that. So she comes and she likes it, but I think she's a little bit young at the minute.
yeah,
Hopefully she'll switch on because she can actually box as well. So
yeah.
it's just keeping it fun for him at the minute, and then when he gets a bit more serious, and then we'll turn the screw a little bit and see how they handle
See
it.
if it.
But
Yeah,
the boys, no, not a flipping chance, mate. They'd rather sit in front of that fucking computer and shout at each
yeah.
other, and yeah,
Yeah,
not a chance.
it's like one of my daughters. It was she's playing football and she's doing really well. She plays for Coventry City Girls. She's doing really well. She's a goalkeeper, and I'm sort of like pushing her a little bit right now and sort of saying like, you're doing pretty well, right? So now you have to make sure that you are training a little bit. You're pushing yourself a little bit. You're doing yourself a little bit better. So like she's pushing a little bit with the football. And obviously, like she can box a little bit as well because obviously we had the wrong gym for a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
She's got that like that interest like in any sport. She's just like she's just a tomboy like. But yeah, she's got that. Whereas like my other kids, like my two boys, are just like just useless.
It's
Um,
yeah. My oldest
yeah,
lad is 19. He's about 6'2", 6'3", and he's about 8 stone piss wet through. It'd be
yeah,
perfect. Not
yeah,
not even iota interest. And if I say
yeah,
to the lads, like my lad Louis, the youngest lad, he's nearly 15, same size as me. He'll come and he'll hit me every now and then. I'll go right, and I'll lay a couple on him, and he'll go all right. And they just
yeah.
they don't care.
No, they
And
don't care, do they?
I'm definitely I've got 6 kids, and not one of them wants to fucking box properly. So I ain't had you all for no reason.
So, okay, so you've done pretty much everything, right, in terms of boxing. So let's talk about what is called semi-pro boxing, right? So you were too good, right? When you did shows and that when you did obviously did a show for us at the Sky Dome, you did a couple of with us, and then obviously you've done others with semi-pro and that sort of stuff. You were too good, right? When he did semi-pro and that sort of stuff. Let's talk about what is called semi-pro boxing, right? Because it's all it's about is about money, right? When you push back, and it's just about money.
Yeah. See, this I might piss a few people off here. There's no such thing as semi-pro boxing
Yeah,
because it's not. It's unlicensed or it's white collar. It's the same thing.
yeah,
Semi-pro to me isn't. Semi-pro boxer isn't a thing. It's
no,
not. It's not. You know, you get semi-pro footballers. Why are they called semi-pro footballers? Because they get paid, but they also have to work. So
yes,
that's semi-professional. So when I was a pro fighter and I was still working, does that make me a semi-professional boxer? No, it don't. You're still a professional fighter.
no,
So
yes,
semi-pro to me is just it's not a thing, especially in boxing. You're not a semi-professional fighter. You're either unlicensed or you're a white-collar fighter. If you earn money out of
yes,
it, great. But don't say semi-pro to make it sound better than what it is. People don't understand. Unlicensed, they'll go, ooh, unlicensed. They seem to think it's some sort of dirty underground thing.
yes,
But unlicensed and white collar shows are run by the right people, like yourselves and Mark Dwyer. They're done right. And they're as good, if not better, than some pro shows. Maybe the quality of
yes.
boxing isn't as good, but the way you run
Hmm.
it, safety wise and stuff like that, and that is, you know, what makes it so like enjoyable to people to go and see.
I'm not involved anymore. Like I stopped being involved with it. Obviously, when I had my stroke 2 years ago,
yeah,
uh, I stopped being involved. And the reason I stopped being involved because
it's
I
full of
think that the way that
scumbags,
people do
mate.
it, yes, it really makes me sort of like I've taken a step back from it and gone right. Okay, well, I did 10 years of it, like where I did really, really well. We did the biggest shows that we were doing way before, way above professional
Yeah,
boxing
yeah,
was at that time. When we did the Sky Dome show, we were bigger than anyone. Like, but then we got to that stop where like we're giving money to white collar boxing, we're giving it to charity, charity boxing, where they do it through like charity
yeah,
boxing,
yeah.
like there's a company doing it, like, aren't they? Where they're sort of like saying, "Oh yeah, yeah, you do 8 weeks of boxing training. You've never boxed in your life. 8 weeks of boxing training, and then obviously you do white collar boxing, 16-ounce gloves and head guard and all the rest of it." And it's just when I look back at it now, I'm just like, someone is going to get seriously killed. And
Yes.
like, and it's happened like with there's a company in white collar boxing. Not going to say anyone's name, but they saying that, oh, we've made £38 million for charity. But then I know for a fact, and when I was doing as a promoter, I was making money. I was making money, and like I know that Mark
Now
Dwyer
listen, let's
is
have
still.
it right. When you're doing that charity thing, how much do they actually give to the charity? Is it 20%? Do
No,
you know what I mean? So
white collar is free. You do your 8 weeks of training. You don't pay anything. You don't get any money, right?
yeah,
Semi-pro boxing or non unlicensed, you get paid, right?
yeah, yeah,
You get paid, right? And like, oh, when you did unlicensed for us, you said you have to sell two
yeah, yeah.
tables, and I think for us, we always used to give you money, give you money back, and we did like for you because obviously you were very, very good. We knew we had to look after you because like we wanted you to obviously you did like a two fighter, didn't you? You sort of like you did
I did. Yeah, I did
one fight
the
and another fight
tournament,
for us at the same time.
and I did the what was it? The who's the big lad that you end up phoning? You couldn't get no one to box him, or someone had pulled out, and you phoned me. I said, "Oh,
That's
I'll do
right.
it."
But then one of them, he did a professional fight, didn't he? It was a couple of guys who you fought. He was actually quite good.
Walker. Was it
Yes.
Walker?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yes.
okay. Which is quite unusual. He didn't box like a white collar lad.
Yes.
Obviously I fought Marvel, didn't I? First,
Yes.
he was a good kid. He's a good lad.
Yeah.
He liked to fight, and that was it. Did he have the knowledge to be able to do anything to me? Not really. If you'd have been a bit more
Yeah.
switched on, because that night I weren't. I just well under par. Um,
Yeah.
and to be honest, I should have got both of them out of there. But
Yeah. So when you've done your unlicensed fights, then because you've done a few,
yeah, I think I did three
have
for
you
the.
never been tested?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I boxed in a Francis Warren tournament for Queensbury, Total Combat, and I
That's
fought.
right. Yeah.
I'm sure it was Hungary. They were from. Yeah, Hungarian lad, and then a Somalian lad, but boxed out of Hungary. Um, both of them were multi-world champion kickboxers. First lad, he looked the part, but he didn't know what to do with me, and I boxed the hell off him. I just pinged him, peppered him all over the place. Second fight, bearing in mind these fights aren't just like there's no rounds in the fight. It's a 6 minute fight. That was it. You no rest. You fight for 6 minutes, and the money
Yeah.
starts at a certain amount. As the timer goes down, the money goes down. In between the
Yes.
round, some point they set off this alarm where if
Hmm.
you knock the person out within that time, the money doubles. So it was a bit. It was in an octagon shaped boxing ring, which was like fucked your head up straight away. You're like, what the fuck's going on here? You know,
Yeah.
there's fucking 8 corners to go to. But then the second kid I fought, he just took everything I fucking hit him with. I could have pulled out a sledgehammer and gone bing.
Yeah.
And obviously, my favourite shot's the left hook to the body. I'd drop down and I'd go whack, and he'd go, "Come on," and I was like, "Fucking hell, bang!" Do it again. He's just smiling at me. So faked it to the body, come over, ding. 4 minutes of that round, he was running around the ring on ice skates. Couldn't get him out of there. And then
Crazy.
in the final, I fought a lad called Connor Stewart. And there's pictures on my Facebook of him. He must be 6'5".
Yeah.
I just couldn't get near him. I still think I won the fight. I just couldn't land clean enough to do any damage. Um, Bit scrappy the fight. I lost. I thought I won it, but I didn't, and it's one
Yeah.
of those. But yeah, no. Another fight I took. I got there, and the guy who brought me over says, "Oh, you can't win the fight." I said, "What do you mean I can't win the fight?" He said, "You can't win, or you ain't going to get paid." I said, "What the fuck
Yeah.
are you talking about, you mad cunt? If you
Yeah.
don't, if you win, you ain't getting paid." So I was like, "Oh." So I went out. My daughter come and did my corner. Bless her. She was crying her eyes out in the corner, giving me my water and that. She says, "What?" She's like, "I don't like it. Don't like it, Flynn."
Yeah.
So then Carly got in and did the corner. And it got at the end of the second round, she said, "Oh, I can't do this." She said, "This ain't right." She said, "Just go and knock him out. Fuck money. Go and smash his face in." And I punched the head off him. The last round, I just went out and give it him. Still lost the fight, but it was just one of them things. I should never have agreed to go and do it.
Yeah.
I, you know,
So
fucking
when you when
fight.
you when you look back at that, like sort of, the unlicensed fights, you just did it purely for money, right?
I did it for the
Like,
crack,
and I think
just
you do the same thing, right?
for a few quid, bit of spending money, and just for a bit of a crack. I didn't really train.
Yeah.
I tell a lie. I trained for the Fantastic Four tournament with Mark Dwyer when me, Massey, Sean, and Shane Normoyle were in it.
Hmm.
I did train for that until I got my rib broke. I think fucking three
Yeah.
weeks before the fight, and then I didn't train for them 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, it's never been anyone on it that's really put me under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But no, I had some good fights, some nice little
Yeah.
ding dongs, but only because I'd allow it to get to that rather than be clever. Because I'd get bored and go, "Fuck it, let's have a tear up."
Yeah. Does it, like, when you look back at it now, like, and you're not involved with any sort of semi-pro or anything like that now, because obviously you mainly sort of like you're involved with amateur. When you look at like white collar boxing, what's your thoughts on it? Like even like semi pro, do you think it should not be happening?
No,
And obviously when you go into
I
amateur
think
now,
I think it should. You know, as long as it's done right, the way you
yeah,
done it, the way Mark Dwyer does it, the way a few other promoters do it, it's got to be done right. You can't just
hmm
go, we're going to put a fucking show together. We've got the two hardest lads in so and so. They're going to fight each other.
yeah,
It's got to be done right. You know, you've got to have things in place if something goes wrong. Obviously, you've got to have your medical
yeah,
examiners there, your paramedics with an ambulance. That's got to
yes,
be paramount. You know, safety before anything else. And that's not just for the fighters, that's for the crowd as well. If anything goes wrong, they're there for that. If it's
yeah,
done right, fine. It's these idiots
yes,
that'll put on during lockdown. You know, I'm not going to name any of the things that were being put up on Facebook, but 10, 15, 20, 30 lads fucking around the outside of a ring. And people are just
yes, yeah. I remember that.
knocking the
Yeah,
fuck out of each other, not knowing what gloves they're wearing, not weights, I wouldn't say were on point. Like, come on.
yeah,
You know, don't be fucking stupid. That you're playing with people's lives. And I know it was a laugh. Is it a laugh if someone gets hurt? Not really.
yeah,
You know, but the white collar thing, if it's done right, like I said, the way you do it, the way Dwight does it, then there's no harm in it. You know, you've look at some of the lads you have both had on your shows. You know, even
yes,
created from nowhere, brought them up to a half decent standard. You know,
yes,
there is some good lads come from white collar boxing into the pros
yes. It is.
and into the amateurs. Like who have we got? Neil Tidman's lad. I think it's Josh. He came from the white collar scene.
Yes,
Then you've got Jay Malley. Um, he's come through into the amateurs and he's doing really well. So
yeah.
it can have
And
a
heavyweight guy. He's done really well, isn't it? The heavyweight guy.
yeah,
He was white collar,
yeah,
and then obviously he's doing really really well as a professional boxer. Like, but yeah, like you say, as long as it's done right, like I've never had like too much of a problem with it. Like say, I was very lucky um, to be involved with obviously with anything which is like white collar or anything like that. I was always very clever. Always sort of like make sure you look after yourself, do X, Y, and Z. Obviously, all my paperwork was like spot on, like no problems with that
yeah,
sort of stuff. Like say, yeah, it's good for you to sort of like say like as long as you think that it's done correctly, then there's no problem. Like, do you know what I mean? To a certain extent. But
yeah.
when you look at then like amateur boxing, like I know for a fact that like people would be very angry about their thoughts of white collar boxing to amateur boxing compared to like what you deal with like is proper amateur boxing, isn't it? You're looking after the majority of children
Yeah.
and adults as well.
Well, this is the thing. You know, you have to declare everything. You know, every contest you have. So now, obviously, when you do a medical, you've got to declare your previous combat history, whether it's kickboxing, whatever. So,
Yeah.
and there's a point system. So, like, say for one white collar fight, that equals to like half of a amateur contest.
Right.
So they're sort of trying to.
Have you got to prove it? Like,
Well, to be honest, if you're trying to fucking blag it and you get found out because you've got 25 videos on fucking YouTube of you fighting and your ring walks, it ain't going to be very good for you. And let's have it right. To me, that's cheating.
yes.
You can't. And it go. Listen, it goes on. Um, we've had lads. Well, previously when I was a coach at Leamington, we had a lad fighting in the the championships, and
Hmm.
a kid that he beat had. This was under. I think it was under 14 contest or under 15 contest. So the developments. He'd had just under the contest, the fight amount to be allowed to go in it.
Hmm.
So our lad goes and beats him anyway. And then you find out he's had 10, 12, 15 fights in another country and the national
Yes.
champion of that country. So it's sort of like without being declared. So really, should he be allowed in the development? No.
Yes.
But he didn't declare it and he hasn't been pulled up on it. And that type of thing
Yeah.
goes on. Can you
Yeah.
really prove it? Not really. But
Yeah.
to me, that's cheating. You're trying to gain an advantage over someone for your own
Yeah.
gain.
Yeah. I know a few people who have done white collar boxing, and then obviously they're going through like the very basic of amateur. I know for a fact there's people in Coventry that they shouldn't be doing what they should be.
No.
Like realistically. But like say, that's not my words to sort of like to talk about, like especially with like on
Yeah.
Talk Tonight and that
The
but
thing is, when it comes to a certain level, if you've gone to a certain level in white collar, you're known. Like
yes.
say for instance, Jay Malley. I don't know how many titles he won. He won a load on the white
Yeah.
collar unlicensed scene. So he wouldn't get away with doing that because he's known. Whereas you've got
Yes.
lads that can go under the radar, and then all of a sudden they're in a contest and they've knocked 3 or 4 lads out in their first 6 or 7 fights, and it's like, hold on a minute,
Yes.
it don't really happen in the amateurs. Not many people get
Yeah.
knocked out. You know, it's different now to what it was back in the day. The gloves are a bit different and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it ain't on. It's not something that should be going on. It does.
Yeah.
How do we get rid of it? I don't know. But they've got
No.
systems in place to limit things creeping through the net, you know?
Yeah. In terms of like so like if you're gonna start from the very beginning, right? So go back to James at a very young age, and obviously you want to get it, you know. So would you sort of say I'm interested in boxing, or would you sort of like when you look back at it now and you go, right, okay, so I'm James, I'm like 12 years old, and I was going to start boxing again, or was not going to box from the very beginning. What what would you do differently if you were going to start from the beginning?
Uh, I'd probably be more. I'd be a better student.
Yeah.
Um, dedicate myself a bit more.
Hmm.
And then when I was of age, I'd be telling myself, "There's a girl that you got to go and find, and she'll sort you out, and
Yeah.
she'll keep you on the path, and that'd be it. And it would be my wife.
Yeah.
That would be the main instruction because
Yes.
without her, I wouldn't be here, mate. You know, and I think it's quite well known. I had issues
Hmm.
with substances and things like that, and if it weren't for her, then I wouldn't be here, mate. We wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm very
that
lucky. I'm very similar as well with my wife. Um, if I won't be with her, I'd be like really struggling.
yeah
Like she sorted me out like big time. Obviously, when I had my stroke as well, like I couldn't tell you my name was a banana. Like I was that just completely out with the world. Like just didn't know. You know, again, like for me and you to have this conversation
yeah
now, like we'd be like really struggling. And I know for a fact that like your career has been fantastic in a way because like you know sort of like helping the new breed of boxing and you're doing it right, like
it's yeah. Do you know what? Again, I didn't really think about going into coaching because
yeah.
I don't know. I just it weren't something that um interested me too much because I was
Hmm.
bored of boxing. You know,
Yeah.
even the white collar stuff. It was just I just didn't want to really do it. I did it because I could, and it was
Yeah.
easy money, and that was it. You know, so when it came to, I've coached for years and years and years. Even when I was an amateur myself, I'd coach and I'd help the juniors and things like that. But then I started. we were going on holiday. Um, and literally, I lived down the road from the Leamington Amateur Club, and I went down to see Ollie O'Neill. Just said to him, "Do you mind if I come and do a few sessions to lose a bit of timber?" And he went, "All right."
Mm-hmm.
And then pretty much the first night, he said, "I'll do a bit of work with that lad for me." And he's like, "Okay." And then that carried on for a little bit, and then I stopped going for a while, for a few months, after my holiday, and then I started back. I
Yeah.
went and done. Then I went and done my course in the April, got qualified, and it just fucking snowballed, mate. Like from going to not wanting to do it to then all of a sudden going, hold on a minute, I'm fucking good at this. I'm
Yeah.
better at this than I was boxing myself. Um,
Yeah.
and it was just again, I find it quite easy coaching.
Yes.
I don't know why. It's just something you like doing it. It's easy, isn't it? It's not like a job. Although we don't get paid for coaching because we're an amateur club.
Yeah.
It's just I feel happy when I'm in the gym,
Mm-hmm.
and it. Although I don't, I find it's difficult coaching the younger kids. You know,
Yeah.
different. It is difficult, and anybody who says it's no, it's not. It's not hard. When you've got kids that are there, do they really want to box? Do they know enough that they want to box? Sometimes
Yeah.
not really. Sometimes it's an hour's rest for their parents. Because
Yeah.
the kid might be on the spectrum, and their parents need
Yes.
that break.
Mm-hmm.
So coaching the younger kids sometimes when they're pissing about and that you're sort of like, oh, come on, lads or girls, come on. But when they get it and they do something, that is that feeling's amazing when you're watching them out of the corner of your eye and they'll do something you've just shown them. It's like, yeah, good.
Yeah.
You know, that's the feeling. I wouldn't say equals getting your hand raised,
Yeah.
but it ain't far off.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah.
It's
Like I say, I was coaching for like 10 years, 11 years, and obviously because I'm struggling with some of my right hands and that sort of stuff, so I can't hold pads like that. So I'm struggling. So I've been holding pads for like about 11 years, and like all of a sudden I really started to struggle with my fingers and that sort of stuff. Like, and I miss it like massively because obviously we shut our gym down. It'd been there for 10 years,
yeah,
and we had shut the gym down, and like it's the most horrible thing to be able to sort of like to see everyone from the gym. But we're still in touch with everyone now anyway, so like, we still always stay in touch with
yeah,
everyone that we do with the gym and that sort of stuff. Like, but yeah, it's quite sad to not be coaching. But then there's always like one of my guys now. He's done like he did like about 14 white collars with us, and then all of a sudden he's going to do an MMA fight, and I'm like, don't do it. You do nothing to prove. Like you're 33 years old. Like you don't need to do this.
yeah,
But I'm trying to explain to him like you don't need to do this. You've got nothing to prove. Like you've nothing to prove
yeah.
and
No, it's.
you've got to make the right decisions, haven't you? You've got to sort of like,
Do you know what it is?
it's like your mental health and that sort of stuff as well. You've got to try and sort of like to look after yourself as your mental health as well, right? Especially as when you go back through your career and that sort of stuff is trying to look after your mental health as well,
Yeah. Do you
right?
know what? I've spent a lot of years. I'm going to say being depressed, um,
Mm-hmm.
but it turns out I wasn't depressed. I was
Mm-hmm.
undiagnosed ADHD, possibly autistic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I ended up getting an official diagnosis 3 years ago, nearly,
Yeah.
which made a lot of sense of certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, at points my mental health was through the floor, mate. It was just, it was terrible, and I think part of the boxing thing that was part of a routine that was sort of keeping me
Go in.
going. That
Yeah.
because I had that routine,
Mm-hmm.
and although I didn't want to do it, I was good at it.
Yeah.
And although I weren't happy in the gym, it was just something that stopped me going over that edge. Do you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
then, like I say, then Carly came into my life and completely flipped it back round to where it should have been.
Yeah.
Pushed me to go and get help with sleep and things. I don't sleep very well, so that was the main reason I went to get help for my sleep, which was a big
Yeah.
thing. That was,
Terrible.
but like you post that you put up earlier, the night terrors, sleep paralysis for me was just it's horrendous. Like
Yeah.
you wake up and you feel like you've had a heart attack. It's
Yes.
real bad. But then it turns out from that, the woman who was speaking to me about my sleep was the one who said, "You need assessing for this. You don't need to be assessed because I can tell you now you've got this, and this, but we need
Hmm.
an official diagnosis," which is
Yeah.
what happened. Um,
Yeah. I was saying the same thing earlier today. I have really bad night terrors. I've had night terrors. I think they've been there all my life. And yeah, I was talking about it last night, earlier today.
yeah,
And yeah, it's a horrible thing when you have a night terrors. I had really bad two night terrors today, and like it just it just happens. And then obviously, like you got to have like a diagnosis. My diagnosis was I've got mitochondrial disease, which is a non-cured disease. And when you trying to sort of like explain to people, like, yeah, okay, I have got a diagnosis. There is a problem, but you're being real about your conversation. And it's like it's easy to use your strength now as a coach and you use it as a positivity. And when you go back in your career and all of that sort of stuff, and you sort of like you link it all down and you go, well, yeah, was I struggling with ADHD at a younger age, or and that sort of stuff. Like when you go through it, you've like I say, you've done it well, and like what you're pushing yourself now to work hard as a family, and you're working hard to do
yeah.
your diagnosis.
I think with the coaching side of it, it helps because like when we were younger, you'd get a kid and they weren't ADHD. It was you were just hyperactive. And
Yes.
you'd be even in the gym, you'd see other kids that were worse than you, and you'd go, "Fucking hell, he's a bit mad at him." And I think it helps knowing now, like having the diagnosis myself and understanding it better to see the kids. I have parents message Carly and say, "Can Flynn train my lad? Can he come down? He's got this, and this. I'm really struggling with him." Kid comes down, mum phones Carly the next day. What's Flynn done? He's been brilliant. He spoke about Flynn since he got home. He can't wait to come back down. And I think it helps
Yeah.
knowing about it. You can see it in certain kids. Other kids mask it a little bit better.
Yes.
And for me, I think it helps me. I'm a bit of a dickhead. I'm a clown. And the kids love that. And
Yeah.
to make them feel at ease, even if they don't want to speak. We've got a girl, Amelia. Um,
Yeah.
I don't. At the minute, I'm not sure. I don't think she's got this wrong, but she don't speak at all. She speaks
Yeah.
two languages, but she don't speak. So it's sort of like, and I walk in and I'll just look at her and she'll have this big grin on her face. And although she don't say anything, I know she's enjoying her time with us because we're pissing about and we're making fun of each other, like as a big group and things like
Yeah.
that. And the kids find it hilarious. We've got two young lads. One of them, Brooklyn, his name is, right? This kid, he came to us. We've only been going 5 weeks as an amateur club. So Brooklyn
Yeah.
came to us. He's been coming 4 weeks now. He's lost 9 pound, and he's a big lad. He's 10, but he's a big. He's nearly as tall as me. In about 6 months' time, he'll be bigger than I am. But
Yeah.
he gets called Brittany. Don't know why. It just came from nowhere. His name's Brittany. And his mate, who's got curly hair, we call him Curly Sue. And they are known as the Ugly Sisters. And they find it hilarious. Like, and it's just stupid little things like that they find so funny. And
Yeah.
they know they're comfortable with us. If they didn't like
They're
us,
comfortable.
they'd say,
Yeah.
and that's how we like to be open, and we like to say, look, you're not happy with this, or we'll put aside. You don't mind me saying that? No, no, that's fine. Okay, and then
Yeah.
they have nicknames for me, like Double Chin Flinn and things like that. We all have a laugh, so
Yeah.
it helps knowing if someone's on the
That's all.
spectrum. You get to know and you get to see certain things, and knowing it myself, that helps.
Yeah, definitely. So we're gonna final out. What's your final thoughts? Like I say, you've done, like I say, your career's been fantastic. Being a great coach, you're looking after your family. What's the next step for James?
The next step is to keep progressing this club, the
Yeah.
Warwick Amateur Boxing Club. We've like I said, we've been going 5 weeks. We've got a fantastic venue in the Foundry Gym. They're a massive franchise throughout the whole
Hmm.
country. We managed to get the one in Warwick, and it was a bit of a chance sort of link up with them. Um,
Hmm.
Ainsley, my gym brother, my partner in crime. He was at Leamington with me, and he left. It didn't feel
Right.
right. I was there without him. It didn't feel right, you know. Um, and there was always that point of I was going to have my own gym at some point anyway.
Hmm.
So then I seen a post on Instagram about the Foundry Gym, Warwick, coming soon, and I was like, "Oh, have a look at that." So Ainsley then phones me within about 10 minutes. I've just been past this place. They're opening a new foundry. And I went, hold on a minute. Next thing you know, he's had a phone call off Sam, who's the other coach with us. Ainsley, I've seen this place. I'm thinking, and he went, we're already on it, mate. So then we've basically gone, the three of us are jumping into this. We went and spoke to the guy, said, listen, we want to do this, and this. He went, fine. And that was it. It's just gone from down here, and we've had lads come from other clubs to join us. We haven't
Yeah.
poached anybody. I still speak to a lot of the lads from Leamington
Yeah.
because they were my lads. Although it wasn't my club, they were my kids. I was the main senior coach. I still speak to them, even the lads that haven't joined us. I still speak to them and see how they are and phone them and see if they're all right. We've had a few of them
Yeah.
come over. Sam's had a few lads come from his old gym. So we've got national finalists, we've got national semi-finalists on the team. Um, if you don't mind, can I name drop them?
Yeah.
So we've got Ralph Island. He's going to be when he starts listening, he's going to be very good.
Yeah.
We've got Rio and Madison Nui. They are Sam's kids. They're going to be very good. We've got a lad called Eben. We call him Eban. This kid, right? I'm telling you now, he's on his he once he gets his brain in gear, he's going to be special.
Yeah. You
But
see the ones you like straight away, you go, right, they're the special ones. You just know straight away. Like it's like anyone was in our gym, it was the same thing. Like people turn up and they go, they're too good. They're
we
too good. It's like when you used to do like white collar for us, and you do like it's like James is just like Flynn. He was just too good, man. He's just too good, and like you see these kids, they're just too good. Like,
there's
and
yeah
they're too
Ainsley.
good, man.
Yeah, there's a lad. Well, Ainsley, our coach, another one of our coaches. His son, Cheyenne. Like you just said, then you see kids, you go, "Oh, he's too good. He's too good." I look at this kid and think to myself, "Fucking hell."
It's
He
going
just
all the way.
he's 9, right? And
Yeah.
the ring IQ from this kid is just it's something else. Without trying, he just does it, and it's like I feel sorry for the kid. He spars kid 2-3 stone heavier than him, and he punches the shit out of him. Like, you know, it's just I do rounds with him. You know,
Yeah.
I wind him up. I wind him up. I don't let him hit me. And he's like,
Don't get yourself hurt.
oh, listen, do you know what? If he was any bigger, he'd probably do some damage. But he's tiny. But that kid is going to be special.
Cool, man. Right,
But
cool. James, thank you so much for your time, man. I really do appreciate it. And what we're going to do is I'll do editing out this and then obviously hopefully we'll get everything out. It'll be on Spotify, it'll be on YouTube, it'll be on Apple Pods, it'll be on TikTok, it'll be on everything. So we're going to put everything out there for you, and it'll probably take me about 3 days to get it sorted.
okay,
But no, thank you for your time, man. I really do
can I
appreciate it.
shout out the sponsors we've got for the gym?
Say again, sorry?
Can I give a shout out to the sponsors that we've got for our gym?
Of course, yes, you can.
So we've got Lee Burden, who is for Warwick Bathroom Company and Warwick Tiles. We've got Sam Hood from Warwick Electrical. We've got James Corrigan for 24/7 Asbestos and Renee Wheeler from Solas. Massive thank you to you for supporting me, Ainsley, and Sam in setting up the gym and giving us a bit of funding to supply the kids with the equipment they need. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem, man. What I'll do is I'll put down this. If you send me the information of their sort of like the text and all the rest of it, their imagery, I'll put everything out for you as well.
Sweet. Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
man.
Well, nice
It's really
chatting
good
to you,
to
mate.
meet you, man.
And
take care.
Stay healthy.
Speak to you later. Bye bye.
See you in a bit.
Ta-ra, bye.